The night was cold enough to make the streetlights look lonely. John Kennedy had just left a late meeting when something unusual caught his eye in a quiet parking lot. A car sat still, engine off, windows fogged from the inside. It wasn't the car that stopped him, it was the faint sound of a baby crying, thin and tired, like it had already learned how to ask for help without making too much noise. John slowed his steps, not knowing that this single moment would change more than one life forever. At first, he tried to convince himself to keep walking. People saw hard things every day, and not every story could be fixed in one night. But something about that cry pulled at him, something deeper than sympathy. It was the sound of survival. He turned back, walked toward the car, and gently tapped on the window. Inside sat a young woman, no older than 25. Her hair was pulled back in a messy knot, her face pale with exhaustion. She clutched a bundled baby to her chest, rocking slowly. When she saw John at the window, fear flashed across her face. She cracked the window just enough to speak. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I'm not bothering anyone. We'll be gone in the morning." John raised his hands calmly. "You're not in trouble," he said softly. "I just heard your baby crying and wanted to make sure you're okay." Tears welled in her eyes, the kind that had been waiting a long time to fall. "His name is Noah," she said, looking down at the baby. "He's hungry, but I ran out of formula this morning." Her name was Emily. Over the next few minutes, her story spilled out in broken pieces. She had fled an abusive relationship with nothing but a diaper bag and an old car that barely ran. She had tried shelters, but they were full. She had applied for jobs, but no one wanted to hire someone with no address and a baby in her arms. Every night, she parked in a different place, hoping not to be noticed, hoping her gas wouldn't run out before morning. John listened without interrupting. He didn't check his phone. He didn't rush her. When she finished, silence settled between them, heavy but honest. "Do you have anywhere safe to go tonight?" he asked. Emily shook her head. "Just here." John made a decision that would shock her and later, many others. He told her to wait, then walked back to his car. When he returned, he handed her a warm bottle of formula he'd bought at a nearby store, along with groceries, diapers, and a blanket. Emily stared at the bags, stunned. "I can't take all this," she said. "Yes, you can," John replied, "and you will." But he wasn't done. He arranged a hotel room for her and Noah that night, paying for a full week up front. He connected her with a local support organization he personally knew and promised to follow up. Before leaving, he knelt beside the car and looked at Noah, who had finally stopped crying. "You matter," John whispered, though he wasn't sure if he was speaking to the baby, the mother, or himself. Emily cried that night in the hotel room, holding Noah close, not out of fear but relief. It was the first time in months she had slept without one eye open. Over the next few weeks, John kept his word. He didn't just send money, he showed up. He helped Emily secure temporary housing, covered childcare costs, and connected her with job training. When Emily landed a steady job at a small marketing firm, she called John, her voice shaking with joy. "I did it," she said. "I really did it." "No," John replied. "You did it. I just opened a door." But life doesn't change all at once. Emily struggled with guilt, with pride, with the lingering fear that everything could be taken away again. Some nights, she still woke up expecting to hear traffic outside her car window. Healing took time. Months later, Emily stood in a small apartment holding keys in her hand. Noah, now chubby and smiling, bounced on her hip. John was there, standing quietly in the corner as she took it all in. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. John smiled. "Someday, when you see someone else struggling, you'll know what to do." The story didn't end there. Words spread not because John sought attention, but because kindness has a way of being noticed. People began sharing similar stories, inspired to look twice instead of looking away. Donations increased for local shelters. Volunteers signed up. One small act became a ripple. Years later, Emily would tell Noah the story of the night they lived in a car and a stranger stopped to listen, not because she wanted him to remember the hardship but because she wanted him to understand compassion. John Kennedy never called himself a hero. He insisted he did what anyone should do. But the truth is, not everyone stops. Not everyone listens, not everyone chooses humanity over convenience. And that night, in a quiet parking lot under flickering lights, one choice proved something powerful, that a single moment of kindness can rewrite an entire future. If the story reminds us of anything, it's this: the world doesn't change through grand speeches alone. It changes when someone notices, when someone cares, and when someone decides that another human life is worth stopping for.